All right, so I think for the flowchart, we're gonna do it like this. Make it pretty easy. I always say if you're trying to climb in general, no matter how far you want to climb, it's not about memorizing everything. It's about just learning a few comps and mastering them. I would stick with probably three comps minimum if you're like early elo, plat, or diamond. But once you're in masters, try to expand that to 5 or 6. And the comps that you choose, make sure they have a wide range in terms of playability. So what I mean is like don't choose something like Rumble Hero as one of your 3 comps, because you can only play that 1 out of 20 games. Or Zihan. These are conditional comps. Choose things like Kai'Sa and try to cover ground for each type of opener. So you're not going to get an 80 win streak every time. So you can't play Yunara every time. So I would do like Yunara and Kai'Sa and then like Slayers. So it's like melee, loose streak, win streak. This can be both win streak or lose streak. Kai'Sa is AP or AD, and Yunara is like just win streak, right? So I honestly, this is the first time this set where like it's been this flexible. Usually like there aren't really comps that can do like multiple different openers. Like Kai'Sa is lose streak or win streak or AP or AD, which is kind of insane. And you can even like flex Bel'Veth in as well and get melee items. Although Bel'Veth's pretty much full of backline items. She is a backliner disguised as a as a melee unit. But yeah, so this is literally the comps that I only play. And that's even a stretch because I don't even really touch like the few comps down here because they're just kind of they're a little too niche. I don't really find a spot to play them. If I was a better player, I feel like obviously the best players are able to flex, are able to understand when the more niche spots, right? But you can get like to low challenger easily, even medium challenger depending on what time it is in the season. Just flexing around 5 different comps. But let's get through all of them. So, all right, first things first. Draven Fast 9, still think it's very strong. I would put it lower. Let me explain ratings. So ratings is like, for something to be truly S tier, it needs to be like beyond broken. It needs to be better than all A tier comps. That's why I don't think I could really put anything in like S tier except for Bard Extol. That is instant Force Whisper Stick. I think I wrote it here, right? Reroll augment. Strong ones, so I'm gonna say like Priz Ticket and Too Much Value. That's what I'm looking for. Trade Sector low key is probably fine. Maybe even Calculated Loss. As long as you aren't contested, and if you have Ixtal items and you have Ixtal Opener, then you don't need as strong of a Econ Augment or a Reroll Augment. But it is like S++. I probably just call it S tier and lower everything else though. ASol, dude, I don't want to call it like C tier. It's just, how do I rate something? I guess I'm rating on reliability is the thing. And like, the way I like to rate things is like how many high rolls do I need for this to be, for this to work, essentially. So Bard Extol, like you're not even angling it until you have this anyways, but if you do have it, I don't think you can top a bot 4 as long as you're playing your Extol correctly. It is a hard comp, but that's a skill issue, not a luck issue, right? Things like Draven Fast 9 can't be A tier in my opinion because a lot of things you like if Draven's broken, even if you don't find like all your upgrades on level 8 or you kind of like you don't hit all your stuff, it's fine because Draven's so strong, you get away with winning fights still and grabbing gold. But because Draven kind of needs a lot to work and he's not that broken, I would put him like B tier. It sounds misleading, but B tier is not weak at all. I'm not even going to put the comps here that I'm not going to play. Right? So like I have comps here that I don't even bother playing. Bilge is a skill issue for me, man. I think this comp changes every single patch, and it's just literally too hard for me. The only way I play Bilge well is when I'm tempoing it hard, like I'm in a really high roll spot, and I can just like turn my brain off and go 9, and then I'm steamrolling the lobby. Yordle's, I think it's just like double Rabadon's check. Double Rabadon's check. But I have not played anything, so I don't think it's ethical for me to rate something and tell people to play it if I haven't done it myself. These ones, like, I haven't played Mel in a while, but I've played it before and I understand the lines back in the earlier patches. So this is one side of the tier list. By the way, this doc will be on, I think if you put the command in for notes, it should appear. And it's also, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be in the pin in the comments or description. Okay, so win streak 80, the comps that you can play are going to be melee. So let's be like Slayer Flex, I guess. Slayer Flex. I'll do a loose streak 80 as well. See Warwick, and I'll write notes here, I guess. Condition. It's probably a direction, right? Comp. Notes. So Slayer Flex. Don't worry about unlocking Aatrox. Focus BV items first. If you get BV, if you get dropped a lot, this happens a lot to me, and I'm sure it happens to a lot of other players. People, I think I generally have decent item economy, so I can force my items into like melee, no matter how bad they are. But for people who are newer to the game, it can be pretty demoralizing to see like tier rod dropped when you're playing melee. But if that does happen to you, then you should pivot to Six Void. This is why the comp is so good, or Mal, and that's like the only reason you should be playing Mal, in my opinion, because it's really, there's like no reasons to be playing this Mal Fast 9 board, unless you're playing Slayers, you have them best of 2, and you got dropped too much AP, or you're playing like 7 Noxus. In any other reason, like if you have an AP Fast 9 spot, you should be playing either Ziggs or Annie. Annie's probably a bit better. My friend was telling me Rise feels terrible into Slayers. The matchup is pretty bad, so I can see that. Usually, you want to take a broken combat augment on 2-1. The best ones are 2-1 for a reason, like comeback story, bodyguard training, off the top of the head. Oh, what's it called? Infinity Force? Infinity Force? The Infinity Force augment. You guys know what I mean. So, I mean, the reason they're so broken is they're like you're on 2-1, right? Econ and items are so broken on 2-1 that if you're gonna give a combat augment on 2-1, you should be like very strong. Should be like items plus combat most important, then econ. Okay. Loose streak AP, that can also be Kai'Sa. I'll make this like a little prettier. Let's make these. I don't know how much of this I'll cut out in the YouTube video, but I'm like, some people like just watch the process, and I've heard longer videos are doing better on YouTube, and if that's what you guys want to see, then I see no reason to cut it out. Slayer Flex is also good. Same concept as Warwick. It's pretty much the exact same comp theory. Warwick is just better from loose streak in my opinion, because you stabilize pretty hard on 3-5. Like, you're guaranteed a stabilization because you have Warwick and you get singed on 3-5 for free. Whereas Slayers, I think it's kind of difficult to like find. You can't just guarantee a Bel'Veth 1 and a Rebessa, even if you like roll on 3-5 on level 7. You're just kind of praying for some type of build, so you can like find a GP2 quickly or something. I don't, yeah. Usually like the 80 combat augment is so broken, and you should be taking one of these. that it usually works out. But yeah, you don't, yeah. Kaiser, you are playing to the version to usually because you stabilize off singed plus Kaiser plus rift all on 2-1. I'm gonna, for the ones that need like a void opener, I'm gonna put a special. This, I guess it's fine because the reason I call it special. Why isn't it the same? Why isn't it as bold as this? Oh, it's because it's a here. It's like needs rift by. I think I need. I'd say needs void by at least 2-3. I'd say because that means you get it before stage 4. You just kind of want it before you roll down, essentially. Yeah. It's just like remember to need Vi plus Jinx. Also, Warwick is also fine from win streak. You just don't need to unlock just items on. You don't need to unlock Singe. Just play the no Singe version. Play around Bruisers. Items, melee items. Usually, yeah, it's like item augments and streak with Briar, not Yasuo, because you want like Titan's Sterix, and those aren't really Yasuo items. Let me delete these slides because I thought there was a new Kaiser, there's a new Warwick, but it's actually very similar. Okay. AD Kaiser. Oh. Let me write it. Can I write a note for this one? For Kaiser, AD or AP are both okay. Yunara, IE plus Rage Blade plus Flex, which includes Flail. Strikers is best. Kraken, Titans are similar. QSS I think is good too. And then for special, all these augments, all these comps have a little special thing to them, huh? All Ionia playable. I'd say Prosperous, or okay, gold plus, oh, sorry. Hopefully that doesn't dox anything on the YouTube. Speed, I think are the best. Keep in mind that gold from 2-1 from early, I guess. And then I'd say spirits, that's the stacking. Playable. Hopefully this format makes sense for you guys. Spirits, and then Blade Master slash Transcendent, I think it's called Transcendent. Probably butchered that. Play only 3. Okay, we're making quick progress. Shadow Isles, I mean, just needs a. I mean, it's like a special condition, right? You just need a win streak AD. I'll add it though. Just needs. I mean, you literally can't play without Viego 2. Viego item slam. or tank slam. Viego item slams want to be like items that you want to put on Thresh later as well. Like BT is fine on Thresh. I don't think it's fundamentally correct, but the stats say it's fine. What's with all these comps here? I guess I can go through the actual comps after I go through the actual. Okay, let's pause here and let's go through the actual comps. So starting with, let's go with Shadow Isles. Here, it's had it somewhere. It's pretty similar. Or sorry, it's pretty much the same comp every time. It looks like this. I think for Piltover, that's like the one thing you flex, Gwen and Seraphine, and then you can just add other stuff. But the main reason this comp got strong is because of the Ornn buffs, which are huge. This guy's insane now. You guys just, I don't know if you guys were watching stream. I just played a Warwick game where I just put a random Ornn on from stage 4, and I just kept it in the entire game with no ward and no anything. And Warwick is already a comp that really wants unit slots, and I just took one up with Ornn because he was so broken. I managed to farm 3 artifacts. Now imagine a comp where you just fit Ornn in easily without having to like take up a slot. And there's also a bug which I don't think I'm allowed to talk about yet because I don't know if Riot wants people knowing about this bug until they fixed it. But there is a bug that makes Kalista like extremely broken right now, or much more stronger than a 4 cost. I'd say. I don't want to exaggerate. But if Riot is okay with you know, letting this information go, you guys will be the first to know about it. I guess I will update it in the comments. Yeah, you just want to play tempo with Kalista. I think items. Like, we'll do a quick data explore search, but it should be the same as when I last saw it. So go to Masters Plus. Thresh is what I want to look at. Thresh is a 5 cost, so like it's kind of weird to look at items for him, but let's go artifacts just because Ornn diff. Yeah, he doesn't like, he has built-in healing, so he doesn't really need BT, but I think BT is fine on him, delta wise, because like it's like this huge sample size, and look how like the higher the sample size, the more accurate it is. This is because you play Viego. So for the amount it's built, it's actually not too bad. If you can get away with Viego, like streaking Viego somehow without, like it's just weird because like Viego doesn't hold any items that Kalista holds, right? Like you're not gonna put a Shojin on him or a blue buff. The most you're gonna do is like put a Deathblade on him. And you can't get 2 swords, right? You want like a Giant Slayer or something. So Edge of Night seems really good though, actually. I'm surprised. I think that might be late game bias. Like if you 3-star, like you want to put Edge of Night on him. Maybe I don't do 3 stars. No, it's still not 3-star bias. So yeah, maybe you're just doing like Strikers, Edge of Night on Thresh. But Strikers could also be from like Jewel Lotus. Because I don't think he cares about having amp or a crit, right? I would assume he just wants raw AP, like I'm seeing here. Gunblade sounds actually. Gunblade seems really good on him. So maybe you're building like I think the items you want are this then. Like these are the slams that you're okay with making. They're also good on Viego and Thresh. So raw stats like AP or AD that can go on Gwen and then onto Thresh after. Tank items for Yorick, and just don't even bother itemizing Viego. Or like for the first item. Or just like items that they can both use, and Kalista can also use. Gwen is a bit stronger now, so make sure that you're moving items to Gwen too when you hit her. She should come along on stage 2 if you're playing it correctly, and then 6. Very strong comp, even if you're not abusing the bug, and you just play when you're Viego too. Next we have Warwick, and a lot has changed. Well, not really too much. My information has changed. Essentially, you want let's just find the Warwick board. That's good here, and then we'll use this as a reference. Warwick should not be this low. I mean, it's kind of like a top 4 comp, so it is A tier. Let's go level 9 board. Let's go level 8. The main thing I want people to remember about this comp is how broken Jinx is. It's a very, very flexible comp. But for the most part, you're playing something like this. You're not playing 7 Zon. The stats are reading wrong. You are playing this plus Nico and Swain. I will make dedicated slides to the more flexible comps. Like I'm not gonna make a dedicated slide for Shadow Isles, but I will make one on Warwick so you can see the actual variations. The most important thing is the fact that Jinx is broken, and you don't put BT on Warwick. It is not that great on him. You want Titan, Sterix, and +1. I really like Giant Slayer, and so does my study group, but for some reason it looks really bad in the stats. I'm pretty sure it's some type of stat bias where everyone's just building BT, or like you didn't. Maybe if you filter in BT like or something, it looks better. But pretty sure Giant Slayer is the third best item on him. But like even things like Edge of Night plus Sterix, I know it's a reverse synergy. It still should be fine over like BT. BT is not bad, right? Like the main value of BT is in the health shield because he already has built-in healing, right? So it's 15%. But you want to, if you have Sterix already, then it's just like they proc pretty similarly, 60% and 40%. We just want to maximize Warwick survivability. I don't even think like Rage Blade is that bad on him. That's just my theory from watching like Warwick fight. Gunblade doesn't even seem that bad on him. But in general, like I don't really like healing too much on Zon, unless like it's Spirit's Link. I think like Rage Blade, Giant Slayer are better than BT. Like Deathblade's obviously better. Kraken's might even be better because it gives you that 15% attack speed after, and it gives you AD. So yeah, that's Jinx and that. Itemized Jinx, she is basically a 4-cost. The things that like are equal to that are going to be like MF2, and like Kindred 2 is better than Jinx. So until you hit like Ziggs 2, Jinx 2, or Ziggs 2, MF2, or like Kindred 2, you're staying on Jinx. And a lot of the boards will feature Gunners now because of how strong Jinx is. And again, I'll organize everything on the dock, but I'm just like spitting right now. But don't play Quick Strikers unless you have Kindred. Kindred is the only Quick Striker worth playing, and that's just how Warwick works. So make sure you have Rage Blade on Jinx, and you're playing, this is your core. Do not play Piltover if you have Blast Shield. That's the only reason you should be playing Piltover. Yeah, that's the only reason you should be playing Piltover. Getting Disruptor is fine. Like you can do this, and then just play where is it? Mundo plus like Wukong. Where is Wukong? Where is the monkey? So like this is fine, right? Because you know, it's not. It's just like without. If it's not Blast Shield, there's like the other Piltover things don't do anything, right? Or next to nothing. You don't want like 22% attack speed does nothing here. Nets is fine, but it's just Blast Shield is just way too good for Zon. We'll go over the flex boards in a more on the dock, but yeah, just play around this. Just remember, it's 5 Zon, no Quick Striker unless Kindred, no BT, carry Jinx, and make sure you have some sort of front line. Mundo 2 is amazing. I would itemize Mundo 2 over Singe 2 every single time. Obviously if you have bruisers. Wukong 2 is definitely better than Mundo 2. Probably better. And it's literally for this comp, it's literally whatever 2-star 4-cost you find first as your tank, with obviously like a tier list. So like Wukong, Taric 2, Skarner 2 sometimes, Swain 2 sometimes. But for the most part, Singe is Morello, Shiv, or Spark, and you want an actual tank because you want to put Warwick here. And this is like the God Hex. He has insane wrapping potential, like in terms of movement, not like Eminem. And you don't want to Griefus by taking like Exiles or anything. So like Exiles is a great combat augment, but it does lose a lot of value in Zon. Moving on, what do we want to do next? Kai'Sa. Okay. Let's talk about Slayers because it transitions nicely into Kai'Sa. So Kai'Sa is AP or AD, and it can be win streak or lose streak. So let me just put Kai'Sa here. It's fine. It's just, dude, my mouth is so dry. Let me slow it down. Okay, so AD or AP Kai'Sa does not matter. I think Kai'Sa is best with AP though, because Arcanist is very easy to fit in this comp. So if you're playing Loose Streak, you're going to play a lot of AP Kai'Sa because you're playing 4 Juggernaut and you're always playing Swain, which means you're getting Arcanist. So it's kind of hard to get more AD than AP if you don't have like an Deathblade. One of the best builds on Kai'Sa, in my opinion, is Nashor's IE +1. And because of the Nashor buffs, the AP it will have like 3 or 2 more AP, I think, making it always AP Kai'Sa, which sucks. If you have Arcanist, which sucks. So if you're not win streaking, where you're playing 4 Bruisers and you're actually not playing Arcanist, you are playing AP. So win streak AP's AD is fine. For win streak Kai'Sa, it's like the 4 Bruiser board. And sometimes you're playing 6 Void, and that is when you have a lot of items. So you're either playing the one that's like doing really well in the stats, and that's because Bel'Veth is broken. You want to play Bel'Veth. So this is not. Don't think of this board as a Kai'Sa board unless you just happen to take a lot of item augments, and you're forced to do so, because like those are the only ones that were offered. Like you had to take grab bag into like component heist or something. Then this is a good spot to play this board. But this is a spot where you're actually playing Bel'Veth into Kai'Sa. So it's like what I mentioned earlier. You're playing like Bel'Veth, and then you get dropped a lot of AP. So, you know, you're not making another set of melee items for Ambessa because you can't. You're playing, you're putting those items on Kai'Sa. AP Kai'Sa. That's why like it shows AP and Bel'Veth. It shows like AP Kai'Sa here in this comp, and you're just playing that. You just cap out with Volibear over Wukong, and then you play either Ziggs or Fiddlesticks. Ziggs is usually harder to play because I think you need more item investment in Ziggs than Fiddlesticks, but that's about it. My friends do say +1 Void is very good for this comp, but I don't really see it. I think like, we'll get into that later. That's not really important, but I think that's pretty much everything. Yunara, this is just Yunara is just Yunara. Nothing has really changed about it. You play a bit flex. You play 3 when you have the weaker paths. And if you just play these lines only, you should be able to climb to like at least top 200 NA. I'm using NA as a metric because that's like the only region I know. And you obviously if you have good fundamentals. But on the knowledge side, like if your fundamentals are good, this is all you need on the knowledge side. What am I missing here? Like, oh yeah, Lux, okay, oh, sorry. This is, it's just Demacia opener. It's just similar to how it is, how it's always been, but you're just playing Lissandra because she was buffed and Lux always, not the Kai'Sa Vayne version. It's a lot weaker, and make sure you're building good Garen items. Good Garen items are very important for this comp. You want durability and HP. Warmog's got buffed. That makes him better. Like it's a buff to Garen. Garen gets Demacia and Defender, so it's a lot of armor. So if you're doing something like building gargoyles, this Garen is not going to do anything. So durability and HP. You got to round out the stats. Ixtal, I mean, we talked about that. ASol, I think, I don't even think it's that hard of a comp. It's just the hard part of ASol is understanding when to play it. In my opinion, it's like, it's Hustler, or even like, well, the augment that gives you like 4 XP every turn. I forgot what it's called, like long shot or whatever. Anything that lets you like roll really aggressively and level really aggressively, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're gonna stay on level 8 or 7 for a really long time, as long as you get there like an entire stage before everyone else, and you're sitting there rolling for like Leona 2 and Tarek for ASol. I guess I'll go over the conditionals real quick. So by the way, let's talk about this actually. Sarah Liss, I don't think it's very good. If you have AP, I think the only loose streak AP you can play is Kai'Sa. I don't even know. This is win streak AD. Let's move this a bit down so we have space for like win streak AP. I do not know the win streak AP. I think it's the only comp you can play is Liss Volley, and Volley. If you don't unlock Volley, you are 8th. So it's gonna be like you do this from LeBlanc, the LeBlanc opener, like LeBlanc sign opener, because there's no other way you can get this Volibear unless you find a Warmogs, which is harder than you think. Like, if you have no way of getting Warmogs, if you don't have like a Warmogs and you're trying to win streak on 3-2 where you're just slamming items, you can't greed for it. So you kind of need to secure a Warmogs, or you need to play around Scion, which will eventually reach the threshold if you play it right. So I don't think like Ceralis is that bad, but because they nerfed it so hard in terms of bug fixing, you are either going fast down with AP or trying to 3-star like Seraphine or Lissandra. All the Piltover things remain the same, but I think it's very rare that you stay on 4 anymore, 4 Pilt, even with Excel Gate. Like if you have Cog Excel Gate, I assume it eventually falls off, and you want to play around like Shurima, or drop off for like I want to visualize this. Like you drop it off for Zillion, and then you drop the Vi. So you drop 2 Pilt, the Oriana and the Vi for Zillion and like a different defender. Usually you want that defender to be Silas, and that's something I want to talk about actually. Silas got like buffed twice in the last 2 patches, and he's definitely worth his value now. He's a 7 cost that has a very tough unlock, but if you're rolling on level 8 a lot, when you should be for AP comps because you're trying to like 3-star them, you should be finding Lux and Garen pretty easily. So definitely go for the like a Silas cap out with this comp. But I do think this is like a solid B to low B tier. It requires a lot of high roll. Oh, and there's like Seraphine Flex. I didn't really know this was a line you could do. Maybe, but then again, I haven't been super deep into the TFT scene. I've been not as much as I have been recently in the last few sets. Just been taking a break just so we don't get burnt out. I got burnt out in the last 2 sets, and it's really hard to get burnt out in something that kind of is your main job. So yeah, I've been pretty careful about it. But yeah, it's like this core, and then you just flex around whatever legendary you find. So you're praying for like a Zir. If you hit him best of 2, you play Mel, but that's kind of weird because like you're flexing this, and then Mel, like you have to stack another turn for best of 2, and you also have to hit him best of 2. You know, it's a lot of money you have to hold on your bench, and I imagine you also want to be holding like Garen 2 and Lux 2 to unlock Silas. But yeah, if you're like playing, if you're in a spot where you can't exactly go 9, but you're like AP win streak, this is one of the lines you can play. So I'll quickly go over, and I'll after this I'll go over Slayers, and then that's probably the end of the video. But like, let's just build a board. So I mean, it's usually Shyvana or other Juggernaut. I don't even think you need Juggernaut if you don't have like, if you have like a Taric 2 as your main tank. Shyvana is just because it's a selfish trait, right? Swain just casts once anyways and dies, and then you either play like Azir plus add Shurima, or I think I mean there's like the Diana variation. Oh, by the way, Diana is very good. I should keep that in, but Diana is definitely a threat that people are missing. You can just play, if you have like Leona 2 on like the Leona 2 opener, definitely try to play Diana, because you don't have to play towards ASol, right? You can just play Diana as she used to be and just play around Seraphine Flex. If you can't do that, you can do like the Kindred variation, I think, and then you just play like the Draven Noxus board. I think it's like Bessa, and then just like it's like Fiddle over you. It's a Fiddle, but yeah, it's a lot of 5 costs that you're praying hit one of them on 9. You can also do it like Annie. Just think about the 5 costs, like Lucian, Kindred, Annie are all flexible. I imagine you can fit like Set in here somehow. Might be a bit hard. Oh, Zillion definitely. There's like a Zillion board. It is a very flexible set, huh? What was the Zillion board again? I think you had to play around It's like you want to carry Seraphine and that, so you're playing Kobuko. Ooh, how the fuck do you unlock Kobuko? That doesn't make any sense, huh? Because like you can't like you're not playing around bruisers. But it's like a it's a Zillion Annie board. It's a different board. It was back in like PB. But yeah, that's it's just Seraphine. Pray you hit a 5 cost. Which honestly not that hard to find 5 cost on level 8, especially when there's so many good flex. Even Ornn, it can help you like stabilize. And also if you have Yordle, if Veigar, you don't have to play around Yordles because a lot of times you don't have a Yordle opener when you get the double rods. In that case, you just play around Demacia. So it's Demacia, it's like the regular Demacia board except you replace, I think you replace Swain with Veigar, or you play around Lissandra. So this is a Lissandra. I never got a chance to play this board, but I heard other players, like top 10 players, say it's good. So it looks good, and people say it's good, so that's good enough for me. You just play for Veigar. You just never want to play around anything more than like 2 Arcanists if you can help it, because you have double Rabadons when you play Veigar. He scales off AP already, so why do you need more AP? So you rather just find another carry that's not an Arcanist. And Lissandra is a great because she was buffed and she was an Evoker, so it also helps Veigar get more casts off. So Orianna, you find the Freljord unit. It is always Braum. Then you fit in, it's always Loris because it's only Warden. And then this should be the board. Level 7, your level 8 is literally anything. Probably going to be Taric as your flexible, or like Skarner if you unlocked it. What else can you play? Azir, I guess? I don't like Azir without Disruptor. Lucian, Fiddle, probably those. Random Swain too. Yeah, something like that. And the third board you can do is play around Seraphine, like literally the core we just played, Vi, Nico, Seraphine, and then you just play like Set Wukong or something like that. Actually, I can build the board real quick. I just have to remember it. It's been so long since I played this. Something like this. You just played Seraphine. It was Seraphine or Orianna, I don't remember. But you need Disruptor always. So like you're doing something like this, and then you're just flexing around this. You can play like Annie as well. Try to get 4 Arcanist, but it's not as good as like having like other stuff. Because the other variations, like you don't play Azir, you play like Zillion, and you play Orianna over you instead, or you play like Kobuko. But I don't really like playing around Kobuko. Anyways, I'm rambling along. Let's quickly cover Slayers, real quick. Okay, so here are the things you have to remember about Slayers, and it always made me a bit dizzy, but I kind of locked it down yesterday when I was studying with my study group. There are 3 main variations, right? 1, you have Rift Herald. 2, you don't have Rift Herald, but you have Aatrox. And 3, you don't have Rift Herald or Aatrox. So yeah, this is your final board. If you have Aatrox and if you have Rift Herald. A lot of times you won't have that. You really want Rift Herald, and you eventually will have Rift Herald, but because you play Cho. But let's start with the Aatrox list variation, and that's very simple. You're just replacing GP and Aatrox, and that's your final board. Level 9 is literally anything. It can be like Senna 2. I like Ornn 2 a lot, or Ornn 1 just to farm artifacts. A lot of times melee you're playing from ahead, so you have time to like sit with like a -1 on your board, especially if you're level 9. That's just because Bel'Veth has so much tempo. Hitting like a Bel'Veth 1 with 3 items can just take you to 9. But now let's say we don't have Rift Herald either. That gets a bit complicated. So let's say we drop Rift Herald. Before let's go with a pre-capped board, because you don't have Shyvana and Fiddle, right? So it's going to just be 2 Void or 4 Void now. That's just your board, right? You just get a defense on you and a backline on you. But now let's say we don't have Rift Herald. Then it's going to be something like this. Rek'Sai, where are you? Yeah. So this is the board on level 8. This does not look that good. Your board is not going to be very strong, I think, if you don't have there's no way you're playing 2 shitters, right? Like No. It's never. If you don't have Rift Herald, it's never for Void. Sorry, I take it back. I take it back. It's going to be Bruiser. This is one of those very flex boards, so I'll try to make a dedicated video to it. But essentially, you want to play around whatever 2-star 4-cost tank you hit. Wukong is obviously the best because it fits in very naturally. You can even play like Set plus Yasuo to get like Slayers in, or even Set plus Scion plus Wukong. Just 3 Ionia, and I would only do it if it's like gold, obviously, or EXP to help you get to 9. You can also do like Braum 2 plus if you hit Ornn 1, or Taric 2, or just Garner 2. Very simple. But that is your board, and sometimes you can play around like. Sometimes you have to play like Force Slayer, and that's usually when you have Aatrox. If you don't have Aatrox, you're just never playing Force Slayer, even on level 8, unless you somehow hit like Bel'Veth 2 already, and the rest of your board isn't upgraded, but you just want to go to level 9. But that is Slayers, and I think that is the end of everything. That should be everything. I'll make a more dedicated video on Slayers.